The next step right now for me is to do these rafters. Now, how are we building these rafters? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a rafter to show you guys. So this rafter right here, which is going to be my template rafter, I basically placed on top of the front and the back there. All right. Then what I did is I used a little tool and I got my front angle and I got my back angle. All right. So I'm going to cut those off. And then what I did is, since this piece here is my template, on the back of this, I marked where the bottom of the rafter is going to sit on the plate. Now, let's talk about how we're going to be attaching these rafters to the shed. Now, there are a couple of different ways to attach rafters. The most common way, I think, is where you actually cut a groove and then you lay that rafter on top of the sill so it's nice and flat. I've had very little success doing that simply because of my inexperience. I've talked to some neighbors out here, one in particular that I have an enormous amount of respect for, and he is an incredible carpenter. He has built some pretty impressive buildings, not only here on the homestead, but you know, in his career as well. Being the base, you know, the size of this shed, what we're going to do is simply pigtail the rafters. And what that means is this rafter is going to sit on the plate, and then we're going to take a screw coming into the side on this side and a screw coming in on that side. We're simply going to tie it to the plate. Why are we doing that? Well, I'm using 2x6 rafters. If I figured out how to do it, how to make this cut, right, I'm going to lose the integrity of my 6 inches. And maybe it's going to be 5 inches or 4 inches. Either way, I'm going to lose integrity of my rafter by making that cut, since I am using 2x6s and I do want 6 inches of meat on the sills or on the plates. I don't want to make that cut. So the other reason is simply pigtailing into the sides works. You know, I mean, it just works. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there who are dead set on making those cuts and you know, cutting into into your rafter, and they'll probably shit on this video, but I don't really care. I have seen some buildings with some pretty insane angles, nothing like how this one is. And the buildings are pigtailed and they've been like that for years, and they work great. The reality is once we pigtail all the rafters, those rafters are now joined to the front, or to the back and to the front of the building. Then what I'm going to do is put all of my plywood on. That's going to tie all the rafters together, okay? Then we're going to put our roof on. In order for one of these plates to kick out, it would require the entire roof to move. And that is simply not going to happen. So the way that I'm building my rafters is I made a template, and this one, actually this one here, has all of the right dimensions, has the right angle. And so now what I'm doing is I'm taking that template and I'm putting it on all the other rafter boards. And then I'm just simply going to copy the lines and copy the angles over and make the cuts. Every board that I make, or every rafter that I make, I will use the template on so that all of the other boards match up to the original template. That's important for me because I want to try to get as accurate as I can across all of the rafters. also add that this is all rough cut lumber, so there is some inconsistencies with the dimensions. Nothing that's too radical, but it is something you have to, pay attention to and be cognizant of when you're using rough lumber, because sometimes they'll twist up a little bit and things like that, and the widths and the lengths may not always be accurate, but you just do the best that you can. Now, other than the back and the front plate angles, the most important dimension on this is really where the rafter is going to sit on the back plate. And so we've got to make sure that this mark is dead center, because that'll give the alignment on the shed and make sure that all the rafters are in the right position. The other thing I want to do to ensure consistency across the rafters is I'm simply going to write on this side cabin, and so that when I go to put this up, that this side will be facing the cabin. The reason I'm doing that is so that I know when I put this template down what side is what, and it's just another reminder to make sure that I do this properly. Overkill? Maybe, but if you've been watching our channel, you know that I am not a carpenter. I don't claim to be one. I don't claim to know what I'm doing. I'm just about anything that has to do with, other than electricity. So, I'm just about anything. So, yeah, I'm getting better. I'm learning a lot of stuff. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to stop the video here for just a moment. And so something's come up that is a catastrophic issue that for whatever reason, and I knew this and I had a solution for it, but I think I was in such a rush to get the building to this point that I completely forgot about this. And the only reason I remembered is because it rained last night. Well, and I know some of you who are watching this back earlier in the video probably face palmed yourself and said, dude, this guy's an idiot. And if that's what you did, well, then okay, I'm okay with that. But here's what's happening. So I put all that effort into building these the foundation, but unfortunately, sitting the frame or the floor on it was not the right move. What I needed to do is put a treated wood underneath it, because typically what you would do is build these underneath your shed or your cabin, in my case my shed, and then the water off of the siding would simply run down the siding and then into the ground. Because my floor is sitting on my piers, because my piers are not under the shed, the water just pools on top of the cement, and that is terrible because it's going to rot out my floor. So we have a solution for it. It's a little extra work, and it is something I should have done when I first put the floor down, and I knew I was supposed to do it, but unfortunately I didn't. So here we are where we are. So basically what's happening now is my neighbor is cutting me 4x4s that will run the length of the entire shed, which is 12 feet. We have these 3 piers here. And so what we're going to do is put a 4x4 underneath this side and then underneath the other side. And then in the middle, we're putting an 8-footer. These 4x4s are going to be treated, and they should last, 5, 6, 7 years. And when I need new ones, we'll just jack the shed up, pull out the old ones, put new ones in there, and be done with it. So it's one of those mistakes that I feel like I should have not made, but that just goes to show my inexperience with this stuff. I was so thrilled with building this shed and how I was building it, that I just completely, I don't know, that one just blew right over my head, and here we are. So not a complete loss, or not a complete screw up that I can't fix, because we can, and we're going to, but it is certainly something that should have never happened to begin with. Chalking this one up as another lesson learned in my journey to become a skilled carpenter while living off grid. So yeah, oh boy. So today we're moving more dirt. Yeah, we got more dirt to move. Why are we moving more dirt? Well, the plan is to fill all this with loam, and we're going to be planting all the raspberry bushes there. We've got raspberry and some blackberry and some other stuff that we want to plant right along this row right here. So we got the tractor out. We're using it because I did fix the tire, thankfully. Boy, that would have been really nice to do all these with. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and fill that area up. So let's get to it. So I think the best thing to do now is I got to move the hoop house and move all the piping, and then we're going to go ahead and clear out the wood chips that we have from here. We're going to put those into the lanes, and that way I can just drive the tractor in here to fill up the rest of that, in there. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Smudge pot is working great. Basically all we got going on in ours is some hay. Hay and some wood chips and some wood shavings. Got a little old mouse bed in there. Yep. Oh, working great. And keeping the bugs away. I thought we were going to try to sneak up on Pig. Let's see what he's got going on here. Hey, Pig. Holy smokeroos. Wowzers. There is nothing better than teamwork. What was that?
A rock.
Are you sure?
A big rock.
Okay. So we've got our rows down for our walking paths. We've decided to forego using that black wrap because we've run out of wood chips, but we have an abundance of hay. So Jen is over there making our walking paths with hay. So all of this will cover with hay for those walking paths. And we still have our root stout garden here, and we have another one here. This, where the tractor is going to get filled in with gravel. But it's starting to look like something. And we have our tomato plants from our friends, Bill and Anita. If you guys are watching, thank you so very much. Got these puppies growing good. Yeah.